We are editors, and we're actually going to talk about editing.
Right. In the spirit of, what are we doing today? And I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to the fact that I know we have a couple of meetings this afternoon after like later this afternoon. Oh no, we have meetings. But anyway, in my imagination, there was a chunk of time this afternoon, which apparently is quite elusive.
Oh, yeah. The
But
imagined
in
and the
my
real are quite
imagination,
different.
yeah. But there are chunks of time today or later this week when I get to do one job and one job only, and that's to sit with one of our acquired manuscripts and edit.
Don't those moments feel to you like sort of an oasis?
Yeah,
Like, I actually find that
yeah.
weirdly relaxing and sort of like, because I put aside all the other of running the
Well,
business.
that's the thing, and that's why I told you. I said my topic, the mnemonic. As a Greek person, I have to say both the consonants
Mnemonic.
here. The mnemonic, the mnemonic was fast twitch, slow twitch, and I think like in every possible way, physically and psychologically, I am constituted as a slow twitch person. I am an endurance person.
You are.
I am like in sports. It's all like distance. That's what I love.
That's
And I love
horrible to me.
yeah, but mentally, so now like
Yeah.
for me mentally, and probably that's why I like the dip because your brain settles into one thing
Yeah, I
for a
do like
long
that.
time. And the editing is that kind of task. I mean, yeah, sure, you can, especially if you're in second pass, which I am now with Robin's next book. Um, I could dip into it for, half an hour at a time or something like that. But to me, the fun of that
Oh, it's
is
like
sitting
being
with
in
it.
it.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, give me a day where like that's all I'm doing
Mhm.
all
I
day.
know. I was doing that the other day because I'm doing the first pass on a new manuscript now, and I had set aside 3 hours, and after the 3 hours, there were a bunch of other things I had to do, and I was really bummed that I had to switch gears because
Yeah,
it was nice to be just doing just that, and I have to say one of the things I love about opening up a new not a new, but like a manuscript we've accepted that I'm now about to dive in to do the first edits
yeah,
is remembering why I took it in the first place. There's
yeah,
always, like, a little bit of fear when when I open it that, like, maybe I'm gonna think, "Oh, shit, it's not as good as I thought,"
yeah.
or "What if
I
have I
know,
made a mistake?" And, that has never happened.
right? But
Um,
I think I had that same experience.
and then the glee when you read it and you're like, oh, it is this good. It is this
Yeah,
exciting."
yeah, and it's kind of a double thing because it's not it's not just the pleasure of that moment, and because encountering it the second time, it's the pleasure of the moment itself, and it's the pleasure that the moment has repeated. The
It's
pleasure
so
in the fact that it has repeated is different from the pleasure in the moment itself, so it's double.
it's like going when you're in Europe and you go to the chocolate store and you pick out all the chocolates that you're gonna buy, in a box, the one with the
Yeah,
ganache and the this and the that, and there's the
yeah.
joy of the selection, right?
Yeah.
There's the joy of putting together the selection of all the stuff that you like, and
Yeah,
then you travel home and you open the box and you get to eat it.
and you're like well, it's
Exactly.
like it's a little bit like photography, right? When you used to take the pictures and hope that they
Oh
be
god, yeah, yeah,
feel that you had framed some really good images and then
yeah.
get the film back and the prints back and then see that again. But yeah, it's like this sort of re second life that
Mhm.
you get when you're editing, but plus you know that you're helping make it better.
That's the thing,
'Cause
is the
you
excitement
can
of
I
the
mean,
possibility.
every manuscript, you're always helping make it better. Everybody, it's
Yeah.
always gonna be better. It's never done. So you're helping it get that far. And that's the thing is like, we all I think now we've come around to a point where we understand that multitasking is kind of a horrible thing. But,
Mhm.
like when that was first a thing, like what, the '90s maybe? It was like, "Oh, I can multitask. This is
Right,
so
I can do
awesome.
this
This is
while I do
so
that.
cool." And now we're like, "Blah." I mean, I suppose but then again, I think some people's brains work in a way that feeds them when they multitask because they're sprinters and they
Mhm.
can go from one to the other to the other. For me, I think this is what we were talking about for having somebody come in and do a certain chunk of work for us. It's not only those hours that you take off of our
What's the
plates,
transaction
it's the
cost?
friction because
Yeah.
every in and out, every time
Right.
you
It's what
return
you
and
call friction
depart?
because you're an athlete, and it's what I call transaction costs because I was an
Oh, yeah,
infrastructure planner, and that's
yeah.
like in electricity, right? Like when you're switching um,
Oh,
from one,
you know what?
I've lost all the lingo
The
here, but
as
anyway,
the
yes,
daughter of a
you
mechanical
lose some.
engineer, I should be using some sort of energy loss
Right, exactly.
term, but that's what it is, yeah.
It is, and you have to
Yeah.
get back into it. I think, I love that what I really like when we talk about sort of our editing and our what we're doing with the manuscript is I like seeing your connections you make to endurance, athleticism, sports.
I
And,
know, can't help it.
I was thinking as I was driving back, I'm on the Cape, as you know, I was in Truro interviewing a very impressive young woman, actually from my own book,
Mm,
which I'm trying to keep one little fingernail in.
mm-mm.
Um, but I was thinking as I was driving back about the layers that make up a book, right? And
Yeah,
to me, because I'm creating a book from scratch for my own book.
right,
When we're editing manuscripts, there's so much that has already been done, right? There's still so
right.
much more to do, but there's like all this stuff that has already been done. But I'm doing that stuff at the same time, sort of, for my own book. And it was like when I was a kid, and even now, I sort of geek out about this stuff. But when you look at what you look at, I love seeing maps or cross sections of like you've got a city, like a big city, like New York City, okay, and then if you see a cross section of everything that's going on below the surface, literally
Yeah,
below the roads, right?
mhm,
And you see it goes down so far. And there's the subway tunnels and there's the sewers and there's cables and there's power lines and
mhm,
there's
mm,
this entire city below the city that people
mhm,
don't see. Um,
yeah.
when I'm growing up in Paris, I always like to take visitors to visit the sewers, to visit
Yeah,
the catacombs, and I think I've
yeah,
always had this fascination about all these things that are invisible, but that without which the thing at the surface won't work. And I think
yeah,
books are the
well,
same.
yeah. Yeah, which is why it's hard when you're editing and you're whether it's your own work or someone else's, but it's someone else's, when you're editing and you make a change and it kind of pulls apart
It
at that all
it
that
does.
compacted, but not in a bad way, but like all the compacted stuff that went
Yeah.
into
Mhm.
creating that surface, that sentence, and you
Yeah.
pull out a word and it's like, oh, but
It's like
no, it doesn't do the thing with
there's a
the
sinkhole.
and the yeah, and like I was doing that last night. I was working like after the workday. I spent a couple hours working on my own book as well. And I I finished, I was saying to my husband, I was like, I think I'm making it worse
No, we always go
because
through
it's
that.
that thing of like you're taking the pieces
Yeah.
apart and you lose some of the layers.
You lose
The
some of the
layers,
layers.
as
I
the
was
great British
thinking
Bake Off would say, the layers, the layers.
Yeah, no, this conversation. So I had this conversation with this young woman who, does, like, outreach and sort of community liaison for the Cape Cod Fishermen's Alliance.
Mm,
She was a very impressive young woman, and I was relieved that a lot of the things she said fit with how I have so far structured the book and especially a certain character. But there were a few
mm,
things that I need to change, which,
mm,
that's why I was interviewing her.
mm.
But it's that same thing. I need to change this little thing, but it is gonna have all these other repercussions, and I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to pull the various threads and then re-sew. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but it's important because this is part of that process. This is part of
yeah.
all the different layers that will make up the experience that the reader won't even, if we're good at it, won't even notice
Right,
is
right.
in
I
there.
mean, you don't want the reader to notice all that, not like you're not showing your work. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
it's a very different, but
Mhm.
it's very easy to screw that up because it just takes
Yeah.
one little thing where the reader's like, "Huh?" to just
No, yeah. Well,
destroy that
and it's you know what it
experience.
is? And it's always the darlings, right? It's always
Yeah.
the darlings, the
Oh, yeah.
fucking darlings, because you can see it, and, like, I can see it now, and partly because when I'm working in Scrivener, I have all the different colors. 'cause I do the revision like, you can choose
Yeah, yeah,
revision A
colors.
is
Yeah.
red, so I've got red. I've got done so many that there's red, there's green, there's blue, now there's even brown. So
Even brown.
there's 5 different colors of text, and so it's hard sometimes because I'm reading it with all the colors, I can see where there's a new piece,
Yeah,
and oftentimes and the new piece sometimes it's like it was written with a different feel, a different sensibility, it's like, what is that? Whose
yeah.
language is that? So the
What's
new
that
piece
doing there?
sticks out like a sore thumb, and oftentimes, of course, it's the other one, it's like the
Mhm.
thing you wrote ages ago that's in black text, and everything else is now red because you've
Right.
rewritten the whole damn book 15 times, and the original thing that you thought was so beautiful
Is no longer relevant.
is now a darling that
Yeah,
you have to get rid of because it kind of it's like, the it's like, I don't know, like the erosion has
yeah,
taken away all the things
exactly.
that connected it to what used to be there, and
Right.
now it just sits there saying,
It's
"Look at
this
me, I'm so
blob sitting there.
beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
this beautiful quartz object," and it's just you have to get rid of it.
Yeah, I remember writing in, manuscript I had sent back to one of our authors recently, and it was a fantastic description of a certain place. I loved it,
Mm,
but, looking at it, it didn't actually serve a purpose in the
mm,
story.
mm,
And so, yeah, I said, "I'm sorry to say you need to take this out, and this might be one of those kill your darling
mhm,
situations because
yeah,
I can tell that this is something you love, and yes, on its own, it's very lovable, but
lovable.
what's it doing
Yeah,
here? It's not serving the
yeah,
story."
yeah.
Yeah,
But
let's
see, to make those kinds of decisions and to think about those kinds of things, I think you need time. You can't, as said before, that you
Oh, yeah, you
dip
need the time.
in, but dipping in,
Yeah,
it's like if you're dipping in and like, oh, we agree, let's change. She stared to, she gazed. Okay, fine. That's easy. You can do that 10 minutes at a time.
yeah,
But if you're really going to work on making sure that there's no darlings and no weird fabric tears and no just layers that don't make sense. If you're
yeah,
really
yeah.
gonna do that, you need, I think, a solid chunk of
You
time
need a
where you
solid chunk of
don't
time.
yeah, and you don't have that distraction, the friction. You're not sprinting.
Right.
It's not a sprint.
No. So but, when we often there's often several months or at least many weeks between when the author sends us the manuscript to be edited and when we send it to
Back
them.
to them.
But the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is, I think you and I are the same in this respect. We're actually doing all that work in the span of 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Within
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
maybe we had the
Yeah,
manuscript
for
for
sure.
4 months,
For sure.
but and we still need the 4 months because we have to figure out where in the 4 months we can fit that big chunk of time.
Those kind of chunks. Yep. Yeah.
And it might take a couple of months to have that
Yeah.
opportunity, but the work
Yeah.
itself ends up being pretty concentrated.
That's like, now that we're sort of open again to me doing manuscript consultations,
Right.
which I always used to do before we started the press, and I sort of had to stop, like, no teaching because publishing. And now we've brought that back. And but like so when I do manuscript consultations, yeah, like it's 14 to 16 hours for your standard length,
For you, I'm
180 to
slower.
100,000. What?
I'm slower,
What?
but yes, that's
Oh,
your
I think I'm gonna say, like, for 100,000 words, it's like 16 hours for the whole everything to finish. But those 16 hou and I always will say, like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna need, like, 3 or 4 weeks,"
right.
but I'm gonna do it in the course of probably 5 days
Yeah.
because you have to. Because if you try to spread it out too much, you
No,
won't
you're
have
not holding the
you
whole thing
can't
in your
hold it in
head.
your head.
Yeah.
I mean, in
Yeah.
some ways, okay, sure, there is a benefit. That's the whole, like, let it sit for a while, but that's not for editing. That's for creating your own
That's
stuff
for
and letting it
creating.
sit and then
That's for
coming back to it.
creating. Yeah.
Yeah, at least that's what I think.
I think also
So,
that there's
slow
something
twitch
to be
muscles.
yeah, but there's something to be said also for having the time between when we first read the manuscript and now we're
And
rereading
coming
because
back to it.
when we edit, we're trying to pretend like this is our first time reading it,
Oh, absolutely.
right? So that we can have the reactions that we think a reader will have.
Yeah.
And if it's too soon after having done the initial read, it's hard to
Oh, yeah.
separate out
I agree. I totally agree.
and kind of have fresh
And in
eyes.
that way, we're sort of recreating the important step for an author of, like, you finish it and then you walk away and then you
Right.
come back So we're
Yeah,
doing this kind of thing.
exactly.
We're done. We have
It's
to stop.
12:15. I saw
Yeah.
somebody, Eric, you joined, very
Oh,
recently. We start these at noon and we go for 15 minutes, so hopefully in the future you can catch us closer to the beginning, but these
yeah.
are always recorded and we'll post them on our Substack, so no
Yeah.
problem if you can't be
Yeah. They'll
here
be posted
in
like in
person.
minutes
In
from now.
minutes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm gonna say a special hi to Amanda, who's checking in from France,
From
from
France.
Bretagne. Um,
Very nice. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, and Henriette, I
Yeah.
will talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.